Hello, thank you for tuning in. My name is Michael Finney. Today we are joined by Pham. Can you tell us a little about yourself for the folks listening that may not know you from Twitter?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like my thing is that like I'm that annoying guy that will always try to get to the core, argument. I'm constantly trying to disrupt myself and keep on moving forward. And with that, you're always going to be unpopular because that's what it takes for you to, stay ahead. I just have this contrarian streak in me where I'll go after I'll pick apart whatever's popular. I'm trying to demystify, like geopolitics and politics by providing very, simple natural laws that, underlie all these things. And I think we've gotten to a place where we've kind of forgotten, how our body functions in a primal way, and we're not conscious to them. And when you're not conscious of them, you let those things take over.
What would you say is the primary goal for your activity on Twitter?
I'm trying to destroy the entire idea of these abstract political theories and to look at things from a scientific kind of atomic basis and looking at the human being as like the atomic unit that makes up these, large political structures. And in order for you to understand these political structures is to first understand you as a human. And then from there, you'll understand, what's wrong with Bitcoin governance, what's wrong with, global governance and, all that stuff. So
let's talk about human nature and governance. Within the community of people that engage Bitcoin, there seems to be some friction regarding the capacity of an individual to excel in the face of collectivist sentiments. Would you speak on what you're observing?
We think it's, some type of new like political movement, but in reality, it's still based in the same ideology that, the poor and the weak are that way because they're being oppressed. And then in Bitcoin, that same ideology kind of shapeshifted and took form into this, like, the big miners are oppressing the poor full node holders that are just trying to assert their sovereignty by downloading and verifying the blockchain, and that these miners that are providing a service and making a lot of money are somehow evil now. And in reality, it's just based in self-preservation and trying to remain relevant without doing the work and taking the risk.
There's been a lot of talk on Twitter about your recent turn from BTC to BSV. Can you tell us what led you to this perspective change?
Really, it's the ideological consistency for the first part, which is that, when the B2X war happened, the BCH, secession happened, the whole narrative was, miners rule, and Bitcoin consensus is, decided by, the hash power of the miners. And then when this whole hash war happened in BSV, the SV side was the one that was still consistently, making the claim that miners are the ones that decide, and they will, use their hash power to decide what information one to go to. And then BCH was hypocritical in saying that, no, decentralization matters, people being able to run a full node, that matters. And they were basically parroting the same narrative that they were vilifying when BTC used it. So that's another example of people dropping their principles and appealing to, collectivism and egalitarianism in order to get their way or to stay in power. There's that saying that, you can't get a man to entertain an idea when his salary doesn't allow it to be so. There was Daniel Kravitz was kind of a thought leader. This in the Hold All Forks thesis, in which that you shouldn't be on the front lines fighting for one side or the other. You should kind of be an emperor and look at the forks like gladiators, and you should just bet on both and then let them duke it out, and then either way you win in the end. Just kind of layman cryptocurrency investors, they love to pump up quote unquote, innovations or things that sound look cool. Like the Ethereum community is notorious for this. And what's really happening is that investors think by, pumping up, this news and making the space look cool and innovative, then people will buy. Where I think that's kind of like short-sighted, to where that at the end of the day, people that don't care about Bitcoin, that are using it to improve their business or improve their lives, is the kind of the litmus test for a accretive kind of economic activity.
Have you explored any of the BSV projects from Unwriter?
Yeah. No, I mean, they're completely kind of unique and orthogonal to what everybody else in the space is doing. Everything resembles, the existing kind of computing stack, but using, Bitcoin as a database. Another fascinating thing is how quickly he's kind of pumping things out. And I think it's just an example of, doing things right the first time. What it seems to me like is that, BSV has this whole saying that, the protocol set in stone, we're not going to change the protocol anymore. And basically it's that, we did it right the first time, and we're going to lock it into place. So that drives all the innovation and value creation and creativity onto the next layer, which is kind of like the layer that Unwriter is building on.
A lot of what is being released by Unwriter and the BSV camp is delivering on the promises that were made by Ethereum.
Yeah. No, there is that's kind of been a meme thing, but when you see that, it's possible to, upload code to the blockchain and string them together in a series of transactions, and then paying a node or a miner to process those transactions in sequential orders. That's kind of like a decentralized immutable world computer, right?
Are you still paying attention to that project?
Less so because it seems like their ship has sailed. I mean, that thing has kind of run its course, and it sounds like they're just going on fumes right now.
And yet, as we mentioned earlier, perhaps we're seeing some of the issues that have slowed Ethereum's progress being adopted by folks attached to the BTC narrative, and particularly those championing the Lightning Network. Perhaps this is exhibiting a natural course?
Yeah, because, my take is that, capitalism, socialism, blah, 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 all this stuff is that, these are just, ideas. These are just ideas, and we just think of new ideas and stuff like that. I was like, no, these are, these are all, capitalism is based in, human competition and needing to secure resources and to protect territory. Right? That's a very fundamental thing. It's just a very natural thing. The politics evolves from the human nature layer. Your survival instinct is where everything flows from. When people listen to this stuff, they don't want to hear that because they're still kind of in they still have the belief that, oh, I need to go make a technical or kind of, economic argument, where I think I'm getting to the root of it, which is kind of like our failings and letting, our investments, kind of hijack our, objectivity and making us act in weird ways. So my awakening to how susceptible we are to kind of, collectivist / slave morality / kind of socialist thinking, even if we think that we're like totally against it. We're all susceptible to this, envious, this envy of those who are successful. Rationally, people see like, socialism or collectivism and all that stuff is irrational. But in reality, there's a rationality to it, because it plays to your kind of survival instincts whenever you feel that you're being outcompeted, or people think it's an abstract ideology by some, great thinker that, people use. But the real reason why it's so powerful is because people are very susceptible. It's rooted in like human survival instincts.
How do you believe this will play out over time?
Whatever is new eventually becomes collective as more people start adopting it. And then inevitably, it's just like, that thing like a music festival or, Burning Man or whatever. It's cool. And then it goes mainstream, then it's not cool. And everybody's like, well, how do you fix that? Well, it's like, no, it's just a constant process. And then you just constantly have to evolve and stay forward. Socialist and collectivist ideology, it constantly kind of mutates and rebrands itself into something that we think is new.
Why did you gravitate towards this perspective?
I guess the thing that kind of like intrigues me the most is like the fallibility of like human behavior, and how everybody thinks like this is such a, such a rational, objective, technical, or economic system, when in reality it's still run by humans and somewhat governed by, human relationships. And I think a lot of people have that as a blind spot. Like, I have a saying that if you think you're different, you're not different. If you know you're the same, then you're different.
Again, thank you for sharing your thoughts with us. Hopefully we can talk more soon.
Hey, thanks for having me.
If you appreciate content like this, please connect with me on your preferred social network.